fleet of machines to Far Harbor.
Well, you wanted a holiday, didn't you?
Well, you should have thought of that when you came here on your little detective trip, but no. You took that bastard Valentine instead.
Oh, come on, Jackson. We were working on a case, and Nick does have the advantage of being an actual detective.
Completely irrelevant. I am vastly superior in every conceivable way, including in the field of deductive intelligence.
Look, Jackson, you're missing the point. Nick is... Basically, what you're saying is you're better at doing Nick's job than Nick is.
That is precisely what I'm saying.
Look, just drop it, okay? We're almost there.
Christ on a bike, Harry, what is this dump you have led us to?
This dump is our tactical advantage. Or at least it will be soon.
Explain.
Well, it's only a matter of time before the Protectron and his fucking cult following finds us. And when he does, I'd prefer if it was on my terms. Welcome, everyone, to Echo Lake Lumber. It is here that we will show the Protectron the very reason he was thrown back in his holding cell. Protectrons are inferior.
Yeah, don't wait up, guys. It's fine. Right behind you.
And any small-scale victory he may or may not have had won't count for jack shit in a fair fight in the arena. Hang on a minute. Has anyone seen Jenkins?
Oh, you want a piece of this? I'll bring it on, you slimy piece of shit!
I'm sure he'll turn up.
Take it in the face, you messy little c***.
Right, where was I? Ah, yes, the arena.
What?
Would you care to do the honours, please, Jackson?
How goes it, everyone? This is Two Guns Jackson here, and welcome back to another episode of Building Stuff, where we're going to be showing you how to build this ridiculously impractical arena, capable of hosting your very own small scale. A task that the DLC that introduced this mechanic was in no way designed for, so let's all hope and pray it doesn't turn out to be complete and utter shit. Anyway, let's build.
You have no panache whatsoever, do you?
Indeed, and I don't give a flying fuck.
The first thing we need to do is choose the location of our large arena in this large settlement. And I think in front of this ruined spectator stand will do just nicely. Now, if you're familiar with the Building Stuff series and just my builds in general, then you'll know that the very idea of building a large flat area out of foundations would usually make me violently sick. However, seeing as this is an arena, albeit a bloody big one, we do kind of need a level playing field to ensure that no one party has a tactical advantage just because of their gradient. So we're going to be building a large 8x8 square of foundations coming off of the ruined spectator stand. Luckily for us, the foundations in the barn and warehouse categories actually match the existing floor perfectly. The only real challenge here being that we're going to have to manually line them up and connect them together as immersively as we can. You can use the sides of the foundation as well as the cross pattern on its surface to make lining them up a little bit less of an exercise in swearing. Once that's all lined up correctly, we're then going to use this foundation to snap our 8x8 square together, which should look a little something like this. Now your mileage may vary on this one, but in this instance I did end up with 2 rogue holes that just refused to be plugged, no matter how much under the map shenanigans I attempted to try and fix it. But I'm sure we'll come up with a creative solution to that little problem a little bit later. Isn't that right, future Harry? Of course, past Harry, you know me. Indeed. Next we're going to wall off this side of the square. We're going to be using the barn wall pieces for this, as I find it matches the existing building quite nicely. And don't worry, we're going to be adding a little something to these walls a little bit later just to make them look a little bit less, well, shit. Using these walls, we can now snap our doors into place. We're going to be placing a line of doors at either end of the arena, both being exactly 2 wall panels from the edge. This should divide our arena into 3 sections, 2 sections being dedicated to hosting both teams' arena stands, and a large section in the middle dedicated to hosting the actual fight. You might say that this arena is a little bit too small for a battle hosting over 30 contestants, but you've got to remember, these robots wield a whole host of weapons, including that of the melee variety. So by making the battleground a little bit smaller, it gives everyone a chance to get in on the action. Once they're in, we can then wall off the rest of the arena. I did have to bring the wall in a touch here to avoid the settlement boundary from fucking me up the arse, but this did end up coming in handy, as it allowed me to extend the wall past our first foundation and into the ruined stands, just so we don't get interrupted by any unwanted company. Next, we're going to take a break from all this squares upon squares upon squares upon squares and actually introduce some variety. Starting off with this undeniably square door. Sticking with the barn pieces here, again to match the existing building. Using this door, we can then begin snapping roof sections to it. This will serve as the beginnings of our walkway. The central support beam should line up with the walls just right. Although I would recommend installing this angled roof piece here to grant access to the roof of the existing building, but more on that later. Once that's in, of course, we can then snap in our windows. To fix this...
Whoa. What is that?
What's what?
That roof, the windows, etc.
It's a...
If it is what I think it is, you're a fucking lunatic.
Oh, come on, Jackson, you can't host a fight like this and not have a spectator stand.
Spectators? Harry, I really don't think you understand the gravity of this situation. We are not hosting a fight. We are going to fucking war with an incredibly hostile group of machines.
Yes, well, there's no reason why the spectacle of said war can't be enjoyed from a safe distance.
A safe distance being dangling precariously over the area in which the spectacle is taking place.
Yeah, well, it'll be fine, it'll be fine.
Will it?
To fix this hovering in mid-air problem with the spectator stand, I tried all sorts of bollocks with barn walls and door frames, all of which ended up failing miserably. And so, for the first time on this channel, I am finally calling upon the help of a mod. Holy shit! Harry's using mod in one of these builds, someone call the fucking police! The mod I will be using in this particular instance is called Junk Walls More Snaps, but more specifically, Junk Walls Tool Only More Snaps, which is an add-on to the mod I mentioned previously. The author of these mods goes by the name of Thelesson38, and you can find their mods on PC and Xbox One from Bethesda.net. We're going to wall off this side completely with these fences, whilst leaving a small gap between the fence and the roof to give us enough space to install the last line of windows. You will encounter this little hovering problem over here, but it's nothing a few shack bridges can't fix. Now just simply wall off this side with some warehouse windows, and it's time to pop down some benches. We're going to be using this little trick with a small stair piece to give us an elevated platform for the second row of benches at the back. Now it's just a simple case of throwing your benches down, installing a nice little handrail, and voila! Once that's in, it's time to do something really mundane and repetitive, and just generally just suicide-inducing all round, really. I am of course talking about installing the arena stands. These little fuckers really don't like being within a cruise ship's length of each other, which is a shame, as when you place them on a foundation block, they will actually sink into the floor quite nicely. But I digress. I mean, it's not like this is the first time this game has told me to go fuck myself. What this does mean, however, is that you will have to rug glitch and manually align every single one of these little bastards into place. And considering we have a grand total of 36 stands to install, I'm sure you can see where I'm coming from when I said suicide-inducing. But hey, that's what friends are for, right? Right, Jackson?
You can fuck right off with that one, mate.
Oh, come on, mate, give us a hand.
Fine.
And once that's finally in, it should look a little something like this. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Jackson, what the fuck?
What?
Why is there more stands on the Protectron side?
Well, they do outnumber us. Quite significantly, actually.
Well, I wasn't planning on losing the war, Jackson. You have literally just handed me a disadvantage on a silver plate.
A disadvantage? I'm actually insulted by your lack of confidence in our loaders.
Fine, fine, you're cool.
Bloody right it is.
Now it's time to erect our lookout post atop this ruined building. This is where that slope we installed earlier comes in handy, as it enables us seamless access to the top floor and roof. First, we're going to place a single small floor on the edge of the building just here, and then use that floor to snap together the rest of the platform. And then just to make sure it's not floating, we're then going to snap these tall scaffold frames to the base of the outermost floors. It can be a little finicky to get them to clip through the roof, but with a little bit of persuasion, they should slide in just fine. We're then going to repeat this process on this slightly steeper part of the roof here. Again, floors, scaffolding, and then simply connect the two with a small staircase. Then lastly, to gain access to the peak of the roof, it's just a case of snapping a wooden ladder to our floor here, snapping a few floors on top of said ladder, some more scaffolding, fence the whole thing off, and structurally speaking at least, that's the lookout post pretty much done. Now it's time to build our walkway. We're going to start off by snapping our long barn floor pieces to the top of the wall, adding a scaffolding slope descending away from our spectator stand. We do come across a problem as we progress around the corner onto the other wall, however. We need to somehow get over the sliding doors at each end of the arena. The solution is actually a technique I borrowed from my first ever YouTube video.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Hive Harry here.
Using stairs and floors to build a sort of pseudo bridge over the front gates like so. We're going to be using something similar to this, except now we have half floors and barn stairs that all snap together quite nicely. It is literally as simple as pop, 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 and voila. I know, it looks a bit shit at the moment, but we'll get to that in a sec. Now simply extend this past the last wall piece, snap some stairs leading down to the other spectator stand, and it's onto the fences and supports. For supports, we're just going to be snapping these warehouse I-beams underneath the floors. These work well in this instance, as we don't want to be clogging up the arena underneath the walkway too much, given that we're already pretty tight on space. And actually, once they're all in place, it looks pretty damn good. Now for the fencing, I opted for a combination of wooden barrier and steel railing to give them that kind of reinforced look, as this is the side where all the fighting will be taking place. As for the other side though, I decided to go for the wire fencing to act purely as a sort of weak, wobbly safety net around the boundary line. I must admit, this does look quite weird, but I don't know, I like it. Now in terms of the actual functional aspect of this build, structurally speaking we're pretty much done, and I can respect that things like wiring, lighting, furniture, decorations and that sort of thing kind of comes down to your personal preference. But if you'd like to know how I wired this baby up and made her shine, then stay tuned. So before we make haste with 1,000,000,001 conduits, we first need to make a nice safe place to install our generator. Now this is a big old settlement, so there are quite a few places to choose from, but in the end I decided to put it just in the middle of the main arena here. I really like how its soft colours contrast with the strong red of the garage door. I think it will look especially good when we attach the spider's web of wires we'll need to control all of the doors and lights.
Bullshit alert! Bullshit alert!
What the fuck?
Bullshit alert!
Who the fuck are you?
I see you've met my new friend, Harry.
Jackson, what the fuck is this?
It detects bullshit. A necessary requirement, I believe, when working with utter tits like yourself.
What?
Harry, if I'm to tell you that it in fact isn't a good idea to install a generator in the middle of a fucking war, then you really shouldn't have a YouTube channel in the first place.
But...
Harry, it's shit.
No, it's not.
Just move the damn thing already.
Do you know what? Fine. Alright, fucking stick it in the building. Oh, generator in the building. What original and unique idea, Jackson. Well done.
Audience, could you please do me a favour? Please pause this video, descend to the comments, and tell Harry he's a complete
Next, it's time to go to university, get a degree in electrical engineering, put on a silly hat and start fiddling around with some wires. Starting off with a conduit above the generator itself to get us outside. Connect that conduit to a conduit on the roof, and then connect that to this small wooden pylon. We're going to be using this pylon a little bit later to power all of our lighting, as we need to keep this portion of the power independent from the control switch for the doors, so the lights can remain on whether the doors are open or closed. From there, we're going to place a conduit pipe wire connector atop the peak of our roof, and then span this conduit over the giant hole in the roof to get us somewhere near our scaffolding. Once here, we can then rig up our main switch to control all of the doors, so that they can all open and close at the same time. Now we just have to get our wires down there, somehow. I ended up using pylons to carry the power down to the slope that leads to the spectator stand, and then sticking a conduit onto the junk fence underneath the spectator stand, thus allowing us to wire up the doors from there. As for wiring up the doors in sequence, the wires actually clip through the red part at the top of the door, no trouble at all, so no worries. As for the other side, it's just a case of carrying the power underneath the spectator stand using conduits, and then wiring it up as we did on the other side. At this point, you should have yourself a functioning arena, albeit not a very well lit one. Yet. So, naturally, it's time to do some lighting. Starting off by carrying the power over the spectator stands with conduits from the pylon that I mentioned earlier, like so. Once there, we can now install our lights. And to get that sort of big, bright, stadium type, floodlight type thing going on, I decided to go for these lampposts here, as the way they kind of dangle off the side and illuminate the area below them should fit this build quite nicely. We're going to build a metric ton of these and rug glitch them at regular intervals surrounding the entire arena, lining them up with the walkway of course. And once you've done that, it should look a little something like this. The trouble is though, is that this looks shit. Now, I can't say for certain, I'm not on the fucking council town planning team, right? But I'm pretty sure that if you installed somewhere in the realm of 1,000 lampposts in a small area like this, there would be so much light that you'd think there was some kind of fucking alien invasion going on. But apparently, Fallout 4 seems to think we have installed somewhere in the realm of 1,000 tea lights. And thus, in addition to these tea lights, we are now going to surround the arena with these rows of spotlights. This was actually particularly annoying as I had to place conduits underneath the entire walkway to carry the power to the lights, as for some reason these lampposts don't carry power like pylons do. Overall though, it all ended up looking pretty sweet. But there is still something missing, and it bugged me for ages, because I didn't have a clue what the fuck it was. And then it hit me. Moving spotlights. That's better. Now I'm happy.
What? Now you've lit the place up like a fucking airstrip.
Oh, come on, Jackson. It does look pretty cool.
You should be less focused on what looks cool and more focused on, I don't know, a bunch of hostile machines flying up our ass.
Yeah, but it does look cool though. All that's left to do now in regards to lighting is brighten up our lookout post a bit with some candles and some fluorescents and whatnot. Stick some spotlights onto the outside of our lookout post. Make the spectator stands a little bit more inviting with some nice cage lights. And then finally some nice lampposts illuminating these billboards above the spectator stand. After all, my sponsors wouldn't like it if my audience couldn't see the actual adverts at the main event.
You're sponsored?
Yep.
By two 200-year-old companies that are long dead?
Yep.
Seems legit.
Now all that's left is the furniture. Starting off with this...
Did you just say furniture?
Yes.
Harry?
What?
Do I have to spell it out for you? This is not a settlement. This is not building stuff. This is war. And you're about to start fucking around with poxy furniture?
Look, I won't go too mad with it, okay? Just a couple of chairs, a living quarters, and that's it, okay? I promise.
You promise?
Yes.
Very well.
So, yeah, we're not going to go too mad with the furniture, considering this isn't an actual settlement, and it's not like anyone's going to live here or anything.
Continue.
So yeah, nothing too homely here. We're just going to make this corner a nice little supply stand, give whoever's in charge of the doors a nice little desk and chair, somewhere to sleep, somewhere to eat, and somewhere to keep an eye on the main entrance.
Alright. I can get on board with that.
And somewhere to buy noodles.
What? No, I'm not having it. This is absolute shit.
Oh, shit. Sarge!
Affirmative, General.
Could you do the outro for me, please? I'm kind of preoccupied at the moment.
Sir, this is not building stuff. I thought we were just ending each episode with a musical transition.
Well, do that then.
Okay, but how do